What is up, everyone? This is Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, and today we're coming at you live like we do every Wednesday at 8 p.m., going over the market stats, the local news you need to know about if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing here in the area, and also doing a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, if you're watching it live, you're watching the replay, go ahead and fire off those questions in the comments below. Or if you have a more personal situation you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out directly, whether it's call, text, or email. I'd love to be able to help in your next situation. Give me a call. But let's start this as we always do, and we'll take a look at the market stats. And I think what I'm going to start doing, I've gotten permission from Alex to be able to use the market distillery report on my YouTube channel, which is honestly just such a tremendous amount of value provided on that report. And I just love to just go over it with you guys. So I'm going to start doing that. I think instead of doing the week to week, I'll still have the week to weeks, but I think once a month I'm going to go over the market distillery report. He also puts out a monthly market update, which I think is really good. So I'm gonna start doing that, I think. But let's just we'll give it a ride for this first time. But just stick with me, okay? Because this will be a new thing that I'm going to be probably trying to do once a month, just so you guys can see that I'm not just the only person saying this stuff. But this guy is pretty smart. I really like what he says. So this is the market distillery, the market dashboard, right? Kind of gives you some really great infographics of where our market is right now, right? So if we're looking for the balance of the market, buyers versus sellers, what kind of market are we in right now? And we're still in a seller's market. We're leaning towards a buyer's market. That's how it feels right now, but we still have a pretty low amount of inventory here. And that's something that we've covered week to week about, interest rates and really housing affordability and people comparing what they have versus what they got, or what they might want to get. So 99% of people have an interest rate under the current interest rate today, which is 6.5%, which is up from 3.76% this time last year. It's a huge jump over the past year here, almost doubled. And you can see as you look at supply here and you look at the demand, closed sales has really been affected by that raise in interest rates, right? And days on market as well. Days on market 75 for the days for the month of February versus the month of February in 2022. Of 34 days. It's a 100% increase. Now, we needed that 100% increase. Definitely. The market we were in last year was not sustainable. And we've kind of flatlined around here, right? So active listings, active and average sales price. So it's still up year over year. Average sale price is up 1%, or month over month. And then year over year is still up 7%. Active listings are up significantly, though. Down month over month, which still feels like we haven't found the bottom of our market, when typically during the winter months, real estate's very seasonal. We don't see a lot of homes on the market until the spring, summertime. So we should see home inventory starting to pick up. So more supply coming to the market. But this past month, we've actually seen it go down from January. But it's up overall almost 100% from February of last year. But like I said, this time last year, this was a very rough time for home buyers in our market. First time home buyers are pretty much out of the game, and that's a big part. That's almost 30% of the buyers in the market today. So really great information here, but just want to start incorporating that on a weekly basis, or on a monthly basis, just so you can see that, this guy, he really compiles a lot of the stats. And I'm going to look into it more to see how I can use more of the infographics on here to make it more of a user-friendly experience. If you do have any questions or comments about what we just looked at, go ahead and drop a comment below. But guys, I got a juicy one for you today, and I missed it. I don't know how I missed it. I feel like I'm on it. I really am when it comes down to the news. I feel like I'm the real estate news guy of St. Johns County, northeastern Florida, in a way. And one thing I would say is that most of the news reporters that I see digitally doing stuff about here in the area, I mean, they might write like 2 or 3 paragraphs. Like, I mean, come on, we got ChatGPT now, guys. We've written a whole bunch of paragraphs. But I don't know how I missed this news story, guys. Let me share my screen here real quick with you. But I can't believe this happened here in St. Johns County. I mean, it could happen anywhere, but this is something that is a big deal. So Action News Action News Investigates, are these St. Johns County homes being built in the line of fire? So what exactly do they mean? Well, several homeowners who are under contract. It's a Dreamfinders new home community within St. Johns County. It's called Cordova Palms. Several of the new homeowners have gone by and looked at their inspection. They've already put a $20,000 deposit down in earnest money, but they've been going by and they've been seeing that their house, multiple houses, have been hit by bullets while they're under construction. So obviously, this is causing a big problem for the builder and all the potential buyers in this neighborhood because they're under contract. They have a large sum of earnest money deposit that could be in jeopardy here. I mean, I imagine the builder will probably let them go if you have bullet holes in the side of your house, but it really just depends on the contract that you sign there. And almost every builder contract is slightly different. It's hard to know without talking to a real estate attorney if they'll be able to get out of that. I hope that they will, because that, I mean, at the end of the day, that's something that the builder probably didn't foresee. It's very hard to foresee something like this. But the reason is because a mile away from there, it's called the Saltwater Shooting Club, right? Where they're able to shoot long distance rifles. And apparently, because they've done so much tree trimming with putting in new developments, that once this was not a problem, they were just shooting guns and it hit a tree and I guess it died. Now it's going it's going through the forest over a mile and hitting homes under construction. So super thankful for these people that they figured this out now instead of later. But just for myself, I'm mortified because I had a buyer who reached out to me through YouTube and we were heavily considering this neighborhood. And they actually passed on it because there was other problems with the neighborhood, such as they didn't have power, they didn't have water. They're running the model home by a generator. And luckily my buyer is he's very smart and he's also an electrician, and he noticed that. He was like, "Hey, why are the lights flickering here? What's going on?" And they were like, "Oh, it's hooked up to a generator out there," and they didn't have water for the whole community. And we were looking in December for this specific community. They wanted to sell him a home. They were like, "We'll give you this, this, and that." They were going to give him a lot of incentives, and we'll have power and water by January, guaranteed. And we actually we were going to write up the contract where we said, if he didn't have power, all the utilities on by January, then he'd get his earnest money deposit back. As of right now, they have power, they don't have water. So he would have got his earnest money deposit back. But I texted him once I saw that news article today. I was actually talking to someone about it because I didn't hear about it. And I feel like I'm on it, but I guess I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm slipping. But I was talking to him about this news article and I was like, okay, I got to text my buyer because he passed on the property ultimately. I still think the community, if they can figure out the bullet situation, it's in a great location aside from being hit by bullets, right, guys? I mean, that's a hard thing to know. But I text my buyer and I said, "Man, we dodged a bullet on that one, didn't we?" And I thought that was kind of funny. But either way, I'll move on to the next one here. Check out the news story I have lined up here next. Share my screen. And this is going to talk about something that we talk about pretty often, right? St. Augustine leaders are looking to make long-term decisions on parking. So they actually hired someone. They're looking to get them to come in, kind of make more suggestions on what they can do because the parking code is outdated. For example, restaurants aren't required to put parking in downtown St. Augustine. That's because they were afraid that if they required that people would just demolish old historic buildings and create parking lots and stuff like that. So we're now in the problem where our streets are packed, right? What do we do in such a small area with such a, the roads are made for horse and buggy, it wasn't designed for cars and trucks and all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to figure out what they can do. And they're starting with something now, which is, it hasn't been officially been started, but they're going to be, where is it at here? They're starting a new transportation system. Where is it? Oh my gosh. It was right in here. I'm losing it, guys. I'm so sorry. Urban Circulator is running downtown, which is the transportation system. The result of a grant. We'll see its first phase come online. Announced start date yet. I mean, that doesn't sound very optimistic to me. That's not what you want to hear when you're trying to figure stuff out. But the urban transportation circulation system, like what urban circulator, like that? What are we talking about here, guys? Are we talking about a train? Are we talking about trolley? Urban circulator. I feel like government often comes up with like a newer term. It's like, just tell me what it is. Like, what is this going to do? How is it going to do it? And it's very vague, right? So this is why a lot of people in town get riled up, is because this stuff it's not outlined, right? I mean, simple conversation to get this outlined to see what it is, but it says that it's going to start soon, but there's no start date. No one even knows what it is. I don't know. I think it's pretty crazy. But on to the next news story, guys. Any time off in the comments below about what we're covering here. The next news story is coming up. Let's see here. Boom. So in Nocatee, we've talked about affordable housing here in our area, but they're going to be building some apartments in Nocatee, which they don't have very many apartments there. So I think this is going to be some well-needed rent relief in the area, but they're going to be building 178 apartments in Nocatee. It's going to cost receive $1.7 million for 9 permits on behalf of Crosstown Properties from Georgia. So we'll see what happens here, but they're going to have 119 units, apartment buildings, and a clubhouse, 2 garages, 2 carports, a maintenance building, and a trash compactor. 6.7 acre property was acquired for $9.5 million in May. So Nocatee is going to see some more traffic on the roads, which is not a terrible. Nocatee is pretty easy to drive around. It's a huge community. You probably will barely notice it. But I think that's something that's really needed in Nocatee, because the average there's like $750,000, $800,000. You know, you can find homes in the millions very easily in Nocatee. So I think that's well needed. I like to see it. You love to see it, don't you? All right, next news story, guys. I appreciate you being here tonight. Let's see here. All right, and we got one more after this. So if you do have any questions, make sure you fire them below. This one I'm super excited about, and you guys know I've talked about Hastings in the past. It's right on 207. It's definitely more of a rural area here in St. Johns County. But if you look at the development of 207, 1, 5, that whole area is blowing up, and I just imagine it's going to keep stretching on 207. Which leads me to our next news story here. St. Johns County Schools working on a plan to turn Hastings Library into a technical college. So on Tuesday morning, the St. Johns County School Board discussed the multi-million-dollar plan to convert the former home of Hastings High School to First Coast Technical College campus. This would be a brand new technical school. It would cost at least $20 million, and it's going to be paid with a mix of funding from the district, a $10 million grant, and money available from the American Rescue Plan. They were actually going to destroy this building, but they decided to renovate it instead. So I think this is super exciting. They already have, public money going there with the wastewater treatment facility. I've also seen articles about them private people redeveloping the main street in Hastings. And I mean, with the path of growth here in St. Johns County, people just can't afford to live within St. Augustine, within the northern part of St. Johns County. So you're having to explore other options. And Hastings may be one of those great places if you need to be close to 95, if you need to be close to St. Augustine, because it's probably a 15 minute drive, 10, 15 minute drives, depending where you are in Hastings, to get to 95. And then from Hastings, like if you're on 207 to downtown St. Augustine, you're talking a 20-minute drive. It's not bad at all. It's very easy to do. Big fan of that area. I think it's going to keep blowing up. Let's see here. Debbie, we got a question. Let's pop it up on screen. Any news in the teachers' pay? Good teachers mean good schools, which means great resale and community support. Let's support our teachers. I don't have any updates on that. I did cover it last week, and they were kind of at a stalemate. I think it was last week, the week before. They kind of all running together, but they were at a stalemate, and I think they're actually going to get a third party like mediator to kind of bring them in and like say, hey, we got to do something. We got to get people on the same page here. I don't know how optimistic I am on that though, Debbie. To be 100% honest, I just saw a news article. I was going to actually cover it, but it's kind of not that important, but kind of important, where they're actually raising they're thinking about raising the price of school lunches here in St. Johns County. And that makes me wonder. I mean, if they're raising the prices of the food here, I mean, do we think we're going to be able to get a raise for the teachers in a significant way? I'm with you 100%. I think we need to pay the teachers very, very well. We'll attract more people who are interested in that as well, too, right? So, like, if you run a business, if you have a family, having good schools is important to you, right? And having good teachers, even more so, right? So I agree. I think they should pay them what they're owed. What that number is, I don't know. I think the conversation starts somewhere around like $70,000, but I don't. Maybe I'm a crazy person for thinking that. They're right now paid. I think the average salary is $55,000. So I'll actually. I just got. I have a customer who's looking to buy, and he's a teacher here in St. Johns County. I'll actually ask him to see if he has any information. But guys, if you're watching this live, if you know anyone in St. Johns County, I'm trying to get in front of the superintendent. I want to have an interview with him. I want to talk to him about what's going on with the schools here. I'd love to be able to do that. So if anyone does have any connections, let me know. Debbie, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the question. Guys, be like Debbie. If you have any questions, fire them off below. I'm only going to be here for a short time because I actually have in 10 minutes, I have another appointment that I got to take. He couldn't coordinate outside of my normal appointment hours. So this worked out the best, right? Right after the live stream. But Debbie, thank you so much. I appreciate your input. Let's try and get 70K for these teachers. I don't know how we can make it happen, but I'd like to see it happen. So let's head on to the next news story, guys. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Now, we've talked about this before, and in a way, kind of relates to teacher pay. And this is the biggest problem that teachers have here is that they can't afford to live in Florida anymore. So, or live in St. Johns County. So I thought this was an interesting article. I don't think this is everything that's actually happening. It's very short, but breaking down state, local efforts to tackle affordable housing crisis. So they give literally like 2 or 3 examples, but I think they're important to know. So a $711 million plan to make housing more affordable statewide is headed to the governor's desk, and there is help on the way for people in Jacksonville who are struggling their bills. So this is a Live Local Act, which is what they're talking about, provides incentives for private investment in affordable housing, encourages mixed-use developments in struggling commercial areas, prohibits local rent controls, and upends local regulations in certain circumstances. Not really sure what that means. Provides tax exemptions for developments that set aside at least 70 units to be affordable housing. And then they accelerate the permits and development orders for affordable housing projects. So that's a big state thing, right? So that's what you can do here in the state of Florida. That's what they're looking to encourage, which, with struggling commercial pretty much everywhere, that's probably a great idea. And we see a lot of cities, the major cities, talking about changing. I just saw something with the mayor of New York, and he's talking about changing commercial buildings and redefining what you mean by residential buildings and saying that like maybe residents don't need to have windows. And I was like, man, just another freaking reason to move to Florida. Like you can't get a window in New York. And I'm from New York, guys, so I love it. I think it's a great city, but it's not for everyone. The second thing that Jacksonville, so a more local area, is doing is they have, and this is more or less, I think, just putting a Band-Aid on the problem, replenishing the emergency rental assistance program. The city is getting $6.3 million from the federal government. If it's approved, $2 million would go to the social services division, and the rest would go to the housing and community development division. The money would then be distributed to people who qualify for the program. But so far, the city hasn't said when the application process will begin. The city distributed $65 million during the original round, but that ran out in December. I'd really like to know what you guys think about that. I mean, that last part there, I mean, incentivizing people to build, I mean, that's been happening for a long time, and they should do that for affordable housing. And it seems really simple to me. Why don't we just build condos, start people off there? It's a lot easier of home ownership, versus a single family home, kind of dip your toe in. But it doesn't seem like anyone wants to build condos for sale anymore. They'll build 178 unit buildings in Nocatee, but they're all going to be rentals, and that's build to rent for the life of forever. So I don't think they're going to see any change in that development. But I think the rental program is kind of just like, hey, you're behind on your rent, we'll pay it. But does that actually help anyone? Maybe for a month or two, but past that, I don't know if that really makes a difference for anyone. But either way, guys, I saw we had 6 people on here tonight, so I appreciate you guys being here with me every Wednesday at 8 p.m., going over the market stats, the local news, and answering the questions, and hopefully giving some good answers. Sometimes I don't. Who knows? But I appreciate you guys being here. Until next Wednesday at 8 p.m., I'll see you then.